Welcome to the midnight hour. It was a typical weeknight routine. Around 12 p.m. midnight, or maybe even a little later, I was back home after work, whipping up a simple dinner of chicken breast and frozen corn. Just as I finished cooking the chicken and began draining the corn, a strange scraping sound echoed through the house. Short, quick, and barely a whisper, it startled me a bit. Brushing it off as an unfamiliar house creak, I continued with my meal prep. But then, there it was again, the same unsettling scraping sound vibrating through the walls. Completely unfamiliar with this sound, a knot of unease tightened in my stomach. Quickly finishing my meal, I grabbed a flashlight and headed towards the front door, hoping to pinpoint the source. After 30 seconds of tense silence, I returned to the table, still curious but not particularly worried. A few minutes into eating, I settled on the couch to unwind with some Netflix. But throughout the show, that annoying scraping sound kept interrupting my relaxation. It became so irritating that I finally turned off the TV, focusing solely on listening. This time, I could clearly hear the sound emanating from upstairs. Annoyance at the house disrupting my night morphed into genuine concern that something might be wrong. Grabbing my flashlight, I cautiously ascended the stairs, reaching the top floor and waiting expectantly in the hallway. But a full minute passed with nothing, the silence broken only by the faint hum of the refrigerator downstairs. Confused and increasingly worried, I started searching each room, my flashlight beam sweeping across dusty corners and undisturbed furniture. Finding nothing unusual or broken, a cold dread began to creep in. Deciding to check the exterior, I stepped outside despite the encroaching darkness, hoping to find a logical explanation, a tree branch scraping the house in the wind, perhaps. Reaching the side with the tree, I discovered no wind and branches nowhere near the siding. Frustration and exhaustion warred within me as I stood there in the cool night air, wondering how this strange occurrence started tonight and why. As I walked back towards the front door, a glimmer of light caught my peripheral vision. Turning abruptly, I saw the light seemingly emanating from the front of the house. With a surge of adrenaline, I walked further down the driveway, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. Glancing back, I spotted a small light coming from a window in a dark room. Realization dawned in a horrifying instant. It was the attic window, and the light was moving, almost as if someone was shining a flashlight around. Panic flooded me, someone was in my attic. Staring at the window as the light moved slowly, a primal fear urging me to flee, I fumbled for my phone and dialed the police. While on the phone, I watched in terror as the light dimmed before shining directly at me. It held there for a few terrifying seconds, then switched off abruptly. From outside, I even heard a few loud thuds, sending a fresh wave of panic crashing over me. Unable to bear the suspense any longer, I sprinted to my neighbor's yard, describing the events to the operator in a breathless rush while glancing back at my house, now eerily silent and calm. Knowing something awful might be happening inside amplified the fear. Thankfully, after a few minutes of no further activity, the police arrived. They conducted a thorough search of the house first, then brought me inside to talk. Finding multiple shoe prints in the attic, they suspected a group of teenagers messing around, likely not intending any real harm. I felt relief, there was no signs of anyone living there. However, they did find some carvings on the wooden beams, just basic lines. Reassuring me again that the teenagers were probably just trying to give me a scare, they theorized they entered through the roof while I was at work, climbing in through a window. Their exit, however, was through the attic doorway and then my back door. While the police confidently concluded it was just a prank, the feeling of safety vanished. Knowing a random group of people broke into my house and spent the day and night unseen was unnerving. After all, they couldn't truly know the intruder's intentions. The thought of them wandering around my house, leaving their marks and who knows what else, sent shivers down my spine. The once familiar creaks and groans of the house now sounded menacing, a constant reminder of the violation. Even after the police left and I secured the house, sleep evaded me that night. Every rustle of wind outside my window sent my heart racing. The once comforting routine of being home alone now felt fraught with danger. The simple act of being in my own house was tainted by a chilling sense of unease. My childhood unfolded in a typical neighborhood. We lived in a comfortable mid-sized house, a picture-perfect family unit. At the age of 7, a furry best friend named Max joined our family. He was my constant companion for years, and as I grew older, being home alone with him by my side never felt isolating. Fear and worry were foreign concepts. Sadly, this blissful state wouldn't last forever. When I turned 15, we relocated 20 minutes away, trading our familiar home for a smaller, more secluded one nestled in a forested area. Unfortunately, that same summer, Max passed away peacefully due to old age. While heartbroken, I was grateful it happened during summer break, allowing me time to grieve at home without the added stress of school. After a few days of shared family mourning, life resumed normalcy. My parents returned to work, leaving me to my devices during summer break. However, a stark difference weighed heavily on me. For the first time in my life, I was truly alone at home. Without Max's comforting presence, every creak and groan of the house sent shivers down my spine. We were also new to the area, and a sense of complete safety hadn't settled in yet. A week after losing Max, it was just another ordinary day. My parents left for work, and I settled in for a day alone. The house was a single story, with a linear layout. Upon entering through the front door, the kitchen and living room greeted you, followed by a long hallway with 2 bedrooms on either side, leading to my parents' room at the end. For the past week, I had made a habit of walking down the hallway, meticulously closing every bedroom door. Something about seeing them open felt unsettling. This day was no different. I proceeded down the hallway, closing each door until reaching my parents' room. Pulling the door shut, I started walking back, only to realize the satisfying click of a secure latch was missing. Turning back, I firmly shut the door again, this time rewarded by the reassuring click. Seeking refuge in my room, I closed the door, donned my headphones, and got lost in a YouTube binge for nearly 2 hours. As boredom set in by 9 a.m., breakfast beckoned. Slipping off my headphones, I opened my door, stepping cautiously into the hallway. A fleeting glimpse in my peripheral vision made me pause. Turning back for a clearer look, I froze. The door at the end of the hallway, the one I distinctly remembered closing, gaped wide open. Speechless, I stood there for a minute, straining for any sound emanating from my parents' room. Panic surged through me. There was no way that door could have opened on its own. Someone, undoubtedly, was in the house. Silence reigned, offering no clue as to the intruder's location. They could be anywhere. With a pounding heart, I crept through the living room and into the kitchen, my eyes darting frantically, searching every nook and cranny. Reaching the kitchen counter, I grabbed one of my parents' large steak knives. The cold steel offered a sliver of comfort in the face of overwhelming terror. Swiftly and meticulously, I double-checked the living room and dining room, ensuring the intruder wasn't hiding. Armed with the knife and a surge of adrenaline, I stood at the hallway's end. Taking a deep breath, I cautiously approached the spare bedroom. Turning the knob carefully to avoid creaking, I peeked inside. Everything seemed undisturbed. Relieved, I closed the door and proceeded towards my parents' room, the source of my terror. The isolation of the house, nestled deep in the woods, amplified my fear. Clutching the knife and straining for any sound, I stood at the doorway for what felt like an eternity, only able to glimpse half of the bed. Dead silence. Gathering my courage, I called out shakily, my voice betraying the fear gnawing at me. No answer came. Taking a tentative step inside, I peered around the corner. Empty, just like the other rooms, untouched and eerily silent. I even crouched to check under the bed, finding nothing but dust bunnies. Cautiously walking towards the other side of the bed, I noticed a speck of dirt on the floor. The sudden sound of a soft thud from behind me sent my heart into overdrive. Frozen in terror, I stared at the closed bathroom door, a faint shadow flickering beneath it. A few agonizing seconds crawled by before another thud resonated, followed by the unmistakable sound of footsteps fading away outside. Still reeling from shock, I cautiously unlocked and opened the bathroom door, revealing a wide-open window. Hastily closing and securing it, I sprinted towards my room to grab my phone. But there was nothing there. It had left. Whatever it was. I was alone again in the house. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like and comment.